Hey everyone, welcome into Cap and Trade episode 2 of the NFL Salary Cap 101 series. Today we're going to talk about the team salary cap and how each category breaks down and what it all means. So let's get into it. Hey, welcome back. So today in episode 2 of the NFL Salary Cap 101 series, we're going to talk about the team salary cap, the adjusted salary cap. This is what you're going to see a lot of at the beginning of the league year come March. So we're going to break down each area of that and explain to you what it means and how the numbers all come together for the final cap space number. So let's jump over to the slideshow like we always do. So what's included in the team salary cap? It's going to be a number of categories. The first one is the league salary cap. So this is the league mandated salary cap. In 2024, it was $255.4 million. 2025, as of the time of this video, has not been set just yet. So for the sake of this argument, we have a placeholder amount in there, but we'll get it finalized later down the line. Annual adjustment. At the end of the season, the team will calculate all their factors that go into the annual adjustment. That could be likely to be earned incentives that were not achieved, likely to be earned per game roster bonuses that were not achieved, could be not likely to be earned incentives that were achieved, same for roster bonuses, could be offsets from base salary guarantees, could be offsets from termination pay, could be the culmination of grievances. They will take all that money and calculate the credits and the debits at the end of the season, submit it to the league. At the end of the regular season, submit it to the league. They will audit it, which is known as the NFL Management Council. They will audit it and verify it. So that can be a positive number, could be a negative number. It just depends on how teams structure things. There's a lot of teams that use a lot of guaranteed salary on short-term contracts, use a lot of incentives and per-game roster bonuses, like the Houston Texans, for example. They do a lot of small guarantee salaries and a lot of their veteran contracts that they sign. So if that player ultimately doesn't make the 53-man roster, say he had a $150,000 salary guarantee, doesn't make the final roster, signs on a practice squad elsewhere and earns that money, then it's offset. And that $150,000 that hit the salary cap in that year will come off as a credit the following season. Same with per game roster bonuses. If the player had a $500,000 in per game roster bonuses, paid $29,412 per game, if it was likely to be earned of 17 games, which is determined by the previous season, and we'll get into incentives and per game roster bonuses later, and that player only plays 14 games, then the team would receive a 3-game credit, 29,000 times 3, for the following season. So the flip side, if the player exceeds what is likely to be earned, then the team would get a debit on the following season, get that money taken away. So it just depends on how things are structured. We've seen every year. This year, we haven't seen the annual adjustments as of yet. As the time of recording this video, I expect them to come out probably in first part of March, right before the new league year, which starts March 12th. I expect the Houston Texans to be a little over $4.5 million in credit and positive adjustment. So that's another number that goes into this. Carryover from the previous league year. So this number is the remaining cap space at the end of the regular season. The teams will submit their carryover number on Tuesday following the last regular season game. That carryover number is submitted to the league. That's the remaining cap space, and teams can carry 100% of their remaining cap space from the previous league year to the next league year. After that, it's salary cap spending. So in the off season, they will go through the top 51 rule. In the regular season, they will use the top 53 rule, which covers all players. So the top 51 rule in the off season is only the top 51 salary cap charges will count against the salary cap for the team in terms of salary cap spending. Now, players outside of that 51 only their prorated money and workout bonuses will count towards the salary cap. But essentially, your top 51 players, so a team in the offseason, once they've gone through the draft and free agency, they're going to be carrying up to 90 players on their active roster. Only the top 51 of those players will count towards salary cap spending. Once you go into the regular season, then you have all 53 players, injured reserve, practice squad. All those players count towards the salary cap spending. Reserve spending. So in the offseason, generally reserve spending doesn't get counted because most of the time those players are outside of the top 51. Now, in the case of the Houston Texans 2 years ago, they had a player go on injured reserve early on in training camp whose salary cap charge was inside the top 51 despite being on injured reserve. But for the most part, during the offseason, that usually won't get in that top 51. During the regular season, reserve spending will hit. So reserve spending is injured reserve, practice squad injured, PUP, so physically unable to perform reserve, non-football injury, non-football illness reserve, retired reserved. There's multiple categories of the reserve that will fall under this spending. But for the most part, it's your injured reserve, PUP, NFI, players like that. Dead money, everybody's favorite part. So this is money spent on players that's already been accounted for, and that contract is no longer active for the team. So they've released that player, they've traded that player, they've waived that player. They're no longer, the player can still be on the roster under a different contract, but that contract that they turned off by releasing that player, any money that they paid could be paid salary, could be guaranteed salary, could be the prorated salary bonus remaining on the contract. It could be roster bonuses. So any money that's paid that's been allocated towards the salary cap following the rules of the CBA could fall under the dead money. So when you add all those things together, and here's just kind of a breakdown. This was at the end of the 2024 regular season for the Houston Texans. So this was during the regular season, so all the players were counting. They had 85 contracts. So we see the league salary cap. You take out the carryover, so they had $931,000 from 2023. They had a positive adjustment of $3.03 million. Adjusted team salary cap is the league salary cap, carryover, and adjustments summed together, and that is the team's adjusted team salary cap. That's basically their specific salary cap to work under. Every team will have a different adjusted salary cap because everybody's carryover and annual adjustments are different. The teams are not working under that $255.4 million. They are working under their adjusted team salary cap. Then you see the salary cap spending. These are all parts that are drawing out of that adjusted number. So $184 million in spending, $2.8 million on practice squad, $25 million in reserve, $41 million in dead money. So you add up those four categories, subtract it from $259 million, and that's where you get your projected cap space. So like we touched on earlier, top 51 calculations, top 53 calculations, we kind of touched on it earlier. What counts and when? So top 51 is your top 51 charges and any prorated money and workout bonuses. Does reserve count in top 51? Like we talked about, only if that salary cap charge is large enough to count within the top 51 players. One thing that you do need to keep in mind is net cap savings under the top 51 rule. So if a player is released, let's just say for the sake of this argument, the player who has a $1 million salary cap charge, and he's inside the top 51. So let's say that he's the 50th highest salary cap charge on the team. He is waived and released. That $1 million comes off. Now, out of the 89 players that are still on the roster, everybody bumps up one slot. So now the player who was below him, who was 51st, let's say they were 950,000, they slide up, and then the player behind them, let's say they were 900,000, slides up. So actuality, you don't save $1 million by that player coming off in salary cap dollars. You save 150,000 because of replacement player cost. So always keep that in mind on the top 51 rules. Hope you enjoyed that. That was covering the team salary cap. It's a lot of different categories, a lot of things to take in. So make sure you go back, listen to it again. Got any questions? You got any comments? Drop them down in the comments down below, and I will try to answer them there. Or you can always send me an email, troy@overthecap.com. Remember, here's my contact information. You can always send me an email. Check me out over on social media @TexansCap. And make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel @capandtrade. So that is Team Salary Cap. This is episode 2 of the NFL Salary Cap 101 series. Make sure you stick around for the next video come up in the playlist. See you there.